Well, the wild card race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup was just that, wild. A record number of different leaders, and no one knew who would win until the bitter end, even after the checkered flag won. It was confusing, it was wild, and it was very tough on all of the chase contenders, and it was a race to the bitter end in a green-white checker finish. Tony Stewart breaks a 43-race winless streak. And man, it's going to take us a while to sort this whole thing out. Hello, everybody. You're watching NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed. I'm John Roberts alongside of Jimmy Spencer. Kenny Wallace is going to join us in just a moment. And senior excitement, I don't know. A 13th place finish for Kenny Wallace. Man, I don't really know what to say after that one. That was wild.
Well, our show's only 1 hour. We can't explain it all in 1 hour. I think that when you look at today, who would ever dream that we would come down to that controversial finish? The chase guys all getting involved in these wrecks. The flat tires. You know, the manufacturers, any manufacturer could have led this race. Any manufacturer could have won this race. You know, fans, let me explain something to you. The 01 passed below the yellow line. There's no option NASCAR has but to take the win and give it to Tony Stewart.
Let's take a look at this replay.
Fans. You know that yellow line. You hear it constantly stressed to you. He is below the yellow line. Fans, he cannot do that. Tony gave him plenty of room. No, you cannot pass below that yellow line, Johnny.
Here's another look at his Regan Smith in the 01. It could have been a huge day for him. He goes below the yellow line. By NASCAR rules, that is illegal, and therefore Tony Stewart has snapped a 43-race winless streak, and he gets his first win of the year and in the chase.
Tony Stewart pushes the 01 below the yellow line. Then he gives him room to finish the pass. Very controversial. But you know what? I'm glad NASCAR makes the decisions and not me. So as of now, fans, NASCAR made the decision. Tony Stewart won this race. But Johnny, what a day. You know, I look at, you know, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson gets lapped early. You know, then Jeff Gordon back there gets caught up in a blown tire. You know, I look at Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle tangling his teammates, taking out Matt Kenseth. The stories behind today was phenomenal. I mean, Harvick probably ends his streak of 73 races. A record for lead changes. Lead changes meaning different drivers. 27 or 28 different drivers led today. A new record at Talladega. Johnny, just keep going.
There is enough to talk about after this race to fill up several hours, of course, the rest of this week. But Jimmy, how big is this for Tony Stewart, knowing emotionally he is leaving this team after 10 years of success? He wanted to get a victory. This might not be the last one in the 20 for Tony, but he knows now at least he has one win before he leaves.
You know, Tony's coming up, and I was talking to Tony yesterday, and the friendship that Tony has with Greg Zipadelli and Scooter and everybody on that race team. And, you know, Joe Gibbs gave Tony his start, and Tony did not want to end the season on a sad note. So Tony, by winning this race today, let's not forget, Johnny, he's in this chase. With what happened today with all these chase contenders, this makes Tony Stewart a factor in winning his third championship for Joe Gibbs Racing. First for Toyota. Don't think it can't happen.
That's why we say this chase is never over until it's over, and a race at Talladega isn't over until it's over, and then even after the final lap as smoke comes in victorious to Victory Lane.
I'll tell you what, Johnny, this is awesome. This is what I love about our show. I feel bad for DEI, the trouble they've had, but you know what? The kid had to learn. You do not pass below the yellow line, fans. I'm not pulling for anybody here. And the thing is that I saw one of the greatest races in Talladega history today.
You got to give Regan Smith credit for at least trying. He wanted the win so badly that he went below Tony Stewart, and he wasn't letting out of the gas. Credit him for trying, but what he did by NASCAR rules and by NASCAR decision, they have deemed it illegal, and therefore it's Tony Stewart that's climbing out victorious after 6 times finishing second on this racetrack.
Look how happy he is. That, you know, as a race car driver, I know how special it is to get that win, especially knowing that you're not going to be back there next year, Johnny.
And after a day like today, it's going to take us a long time to sort all of this out, but we will do it here on NASCAR Victory Lane from Talladega Superspeedway on Speed.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge. Recreate, hibernate.
Go! Go! What are you doing bowing, Kyle Busch? Boo! The beast is gonna eat you up, Kyle. Come on, show me what you got, Kyle. What was that pass? Was that even legal?
Boo him all you want. If you're not here, he's not listening. The Bank of America 500, October 11th at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Get your tickets at lowesmotorspeedway.com.
No, no, no! Oh, come on!
Push takes the checkered flag!
Arr!
Hang in there, buddy. You gotta stay on him. You take it clean! Let's run! We have a champion!
The great Yogi Berra once said it ain't over until it's over, but in this case at Talladega, it wasn't over till it was over, and then some. Look at the side of Tony Stewart's car, and that speaks volumes as to what happened on the last lap in overtime here at the Talladega Superspeedway after 500 miles of nail-biting racing, where some of the chasers had some of the worst luck of the season. In all, 10 chasers were involved in some type of melee on the racetrack. Want to welcome in our good friend Kenny Wallace, 13th.
13th for Speed TV. That was for you guys.
All right, we appreciate it, Kenny Wallace.
Well, I just couldn't get to him. Wide open, and they took the car and had it ready for qualifying. Spence, if we could have got a little bit of practice, that's my excuse. So
Still did a good
13th place finish, got around the 8 of Eric Amarillo there at the end, but
good job.
what
Kenny.
a finish, huh?
So here's the situation on the racetrack that happened when the checkered flag waved. Regan Smith thought that he had won the race. Tony Stewart thought that he had run the race. And here is why. Tony's in the lead. Regan goes below the yellow line, but the question remains, Spence and Kenny, was he forced?
Wasn't a good angle, Johnny. Now, our producer's going to run another angle, Kenny. I want you to watch this. Watch this, Kenny.
Okay, Regan goes low. Now Tony blocks him. See the yellow line? Tony blocks him. So when you were forced to below the yellow line, the guy on the inside, okay, the 0-1 won the race. But they didn't give it to him. And the reason I can tell you is that is the rule. The rule is if you turn left on the guy that is on the inside of you, then it's all legal. Plus, this happened to me. This happened to me with Michael Waltrip in the 00 car a while back. I passed Sterling Marlin on the inside. Passed Sterling on the inside. Sterling turned left, run me in there. I finished 5th. And at the end, NASCAR says no, go to the back. So, controversial call. All I can tell you is Tony Stewart's going to be up here in a little bit. We're going to interview him. He won the race. But they tell you in the driver's meeting, look, let's line them up. Get your cigar there, Spence. Here's what they do. They say if this guy here goes low and starts turning and this guy goes down on you, then it's all fair. So, I mean, the 01 won the race. I'm glad Tony won. He needed it.
But now here's the question, guys. If you get forced below the yellow line,
Right.
does that mean you cannot improve your position, though? Because the rule says you can't improve your position below the yellow line, and that's what they're saying Regan did. That's why the judgment is that he cannot win the race that way.
Well, and I think, in NASCAR has to judge this because it's a judgment call. NASCAR looked at these angles that we're looking at, fans. And at the end of the day, NASCAR runs this sport. They do a damn good job of it. They made a decision, Kenny, and Tony Stewart is the winner.
And you know what's going to happen? As normal, we admit it, we run our mouth up here, but it's just our opinion, just like you at home. Right now at home, you're watching this show and you're saying, oh, yeah, oh, no. But you know what's going to happen, race fans? NASCAR owes us all. They will come out, Spence, and this is so controversial that they're going to have to come out and make a formal State of the Union type address and go, here's the way we ruled it. And that's what they're going to do.
And here's why they have to come out and make a statement like that. Regan Smith from DEI, a team that has certainly suffered their lumps so far this past week. Regan is in the NASCAR holler, probably getting the same explanation, or at least somewhat, that we talked about a second ago. Max Siegel on the left and a disappointed Regan Smith, because here's what happened. By virtue of going below the yellow line and getting penalized, he goes all the way back to 18th. That's from race winner to 18th, and that's a tough pill to swallow.
They're going to put him to 18th?
Put him to 18th is
Lord.
the unofficial scoring right now.
Well, hey, then I finished 11th.
Yeah. But you know what, though?
That's the racer in me.
But the big thing about this, fans, is that we saw a great race. there's a little controversy here, but I can't wait to show the highlights. I can't wait to hear Tony talk. You know, we'll have some run of Biffle and Carl. We'll have about Jeff Gordon. I mean, this has been the wild card, no question about it.
2 big wrecks involving 19 cars, and 10 chasers overall had some type of trouble on the racetrack today. And you're asking now why they call this the wild card? Well, that's because that goes on. And Tony Stewart is back with the coach in Victory Lane. Took us a while to figure out exactly who had won today's AMP Energy Drink 500 at Talladega, but once it happened and the smoke cleared, it was Smoke who won this thing, and it's been a long time since he's been in Victory Lane with us. Tony, welcome back to Victory Lane.
Man, thank you. It's of all places to get that first one this year, this is the place to do it for sure. I've been trying to win here for 10 years and been a bridesmaid a lot, but never a bride here. So,
yeah, 6 times, second place.
Oh, man, and I've got so many friends here. We got the Fayette County Sheriff's Department, Red Farmer, Donnie Allison, all those guys that have helped me for all these years, and we finally got one today.
You know, Tony, I saw one of the greatest races I've ever seen at Talladega because I didn't see a clear-cut winner. I saw every manufacturer racing hard, a lot of respect amongst the drivers. Explain to me what was going through your mind. You finally got to the lead. What was going? How are we going to win this race?
Yeah, that was the hard part when I was watching on the restart and I had 3 DEI cars behind me, but knowing that Regan and Paul were going to stay together, Regan gave me a great push down the back and then got a gap in 3 and 4, and off of 4 there he caught us, and it was just a matter of making a move, and then once I saw him counter, I countered the other way again and made sure I took the racetrack away from him. So, I've lost a lot of them that way and finally got one that way.
Okay, we're going to have fun because we were talking about it on your web. Okay, now, when Earnhardt won and I run second, we stayed all night long, and Earnhardt loved Sunny Delight orange juice and vodka. And I told you that. So what are you going to drink tonight?
Every Schlitz that I got left in the cooler.
Hold on. Let me have it. Are you saying Schlitz beer?
That's a Pennsylvania beer.
They still make it?
Yes.
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, just to show you how in depth I am with Schlitz, and I mean I'm a big Coca-Cola racing family driver, but tonight I deserve a Coke first, and then I'm going to get into the Schlitz. But Schlitz went back to its original formula, the same stuff Archie Bunker drank. So now it's back to the
We got an Archie Bunker reference on Victory Lane.
Oh yeah.
For Tony Stewart? They did it for you.
No, they didn't do it for me. But when I did win the Brickyard a couple years ago, they sent me 25 cases
That's
of it.
Awesome.
So I'm very appreciative of my product sponsorship there.
Smoke, we look back to the Coke 600, gonna win the race.
Yeah.
We look back over this year. You know, man, it has to feel good. the success you've had with Gibbs, it has to feel proud of coming home a winner for him.
Yeah, and especially this late in the year, and knowing that we only got 6 more weeks together as a team, and then we're going to be separating and going our own separate ways. But to finally, it's finally getting that win at Talladega, finally getting a win for Subway, this is the 3rd race for them this year, and the first 2 were disasters. So we finally had a good race for them, got Home Depot back in Victory Lane, and Joe and I got to be back in Victory Lane again, and that was real important to us, during the chase to win one of these.
Hey, Tony, looking at this race the way it came down, and we know the object is to go out and win, get the most points you can, but how do you view the championship chase for you and the 20 team?
I'm just going out and trying to win races like today. We were so far behind after last weekend's disappointment that it lets us just concentrate on winning races. I don't even know where we're at in the points, don't care right now. The thing that's important to me is we finally broke that seal this year and getting in Victory Lane, and history shows that if we get that, once we get that first one, when there's one shortly following, whether it's the next week or a couple weeks later. So if we can get one more before the end of the season or 2 before it's over with, we want to finish strong. So Home Depot's been behind us 100%, and Subway and Coke and all these people that it's been a year or over a year since we won a race. So it's nice to get that string finally broke.
I was watching your face and your lips when you said this is my last, last 6 races with Joe Gibbs. I told Andy Petrie that I was leaving him, and then I came here and run second. It was real emotional for me. You seem like you're emotional leaving Joe Gibbs.
I am. I mean, it's a family that I've been with for 12 years. I mean, only 10 of them have been in the Cup Series, but I started in the Nationwide Series.
Right.
So, you know, when you've been with an organization 12 years, you know, almost a third of my life. So to be with Joe and JD and you know, Zippy and all these guys, Jimmy Makar that I met from day one, to be with these guys, and they're as much a part of my family as, you know, my own family in Indiana. So, you know, change isn't always a bad thing, but on the emotional side, it rips you apart. I mean, Homestead's going to be a really, really rough race for Zippy and I, win, lose, or draw, no matter where we finish. But you know, it's days like today, and like Joe said, we won 33 of these things together, and that's what I'm most proud of.
You did a lot for him, Smoke.
Congratulations, Tony. Good job. Hey, no matter what happens the rest of this year, you got that win going out, man. Good job.
I don't care if I win another one. I got one at Talladega finally, so I'm happy.
Tony Stewart, a winner at Talladega and a winner in the chase, and championship hopes are still alive after a wild one at Talladega. We'll be back to Victory Lane in just a moment.
He's going to move him. He's going to move him. He's going to move him. Here comes the inside. He's got the inside. They touch once, twice. Drag race. Jimmy Johnson. Snow just 2019.
At the end of the day, it's not just where you finish. It's where you start. Sunoco, the fuel of NASCAR. It's what's inside.
Since you guys taught me to drive, I'm gonna teach you to wrestle. This is a body slam. Not bad. These guys are phenomenal.
Start every day with Gillette Fusion Power Phenom. With Gillette's most comfortable shave, you'll feel phenomenal.
No, man!
Gillette Fusion Power Phenom, the only razor used by the Gillette Young Guns.
For even more comfort, use Gillette Fusion Hydrogel. Comfortable?
As the sun sets over the Talladega Superspeedway, race number 4 of the chase for the 2008 Sprint Cup is in the books. And how about this for a little history? 10 years, 33 wins for Joe Gibbs Racing and Greg Zipadelli and Tony Stewart. What a way, Greg. I mean, even if Tony said just a moment ago, no matter what happens the rest of this year, you guys got to win together in this stretch that's closing out your career together.
Absolutely. After the year we've had and the great runs we've had here, but we've been so close so many times. This means a lot. This is one of those cool racetracks that everybody wants to win at least one time in their career, and fortunate enough to be able to say we did that today. So proud of everybody for what we went through on Friday afternoon. We tore that car up pretty good. It was a brand new car that my guys at the shop spent the last 3 months just working and working and working on it. They did a great job. It unloaded really well. It drove great. And obviously Tony, he holds a pretty wheel at these speedway races. I mean, he's really kind of figured it out in patience, and we were in the right place at the right time today.
Zippy, talking about Tony holding a pretty wheel, you know, I'm sitting there running 20th, 25th, and we're just logging laps, and Tony's back there with me. At what time did you collectively, you and Tony, say, I mean, was the strategy like, okay, let's get going now? Or how did you just let him do it all?
No, we talked obviously a little bit earlier, and we just wanted to make sure that we made enough runs to the front so he knew what he had, kind of learn, you know what I mean? Every place is a little different. This was a new car and didn't know the characteristics, and when you're in a bigger pack, it's a lot more than what it was when we were racing, you know, practicing with 10 or 12 cars on Friday. So when he wanted to go, we got to run, he went. You know, the goal was to stay out of trouble, to either be at the front or at the back at a point where you felt like you had control if something happened. And you know, fortunately, we made it through all the big ones today, and we've had our days here where we didn't. So I'm just proud of everybody for the year we've had and the attitudes of all my guys and the people at Joe Gibbs Racing for sticking behind this team, for never hearing people doubt if we could or would. That's what I'm proud of all my guys and their attitude this year for everything that they've gone through. Tony for continuing to dig with us every week, knowing he's got other things on his mind and he's working on next year. You know, we're working on next year. It's hard, you know, and we did a good job today as a group this whole weekend, you know, with the things that we had to deal with. You know, we're going to some good racetracks for us. So, you know, hopefully this is maybe a little bit of a momentum boost for us.
Me and Spence been up here the last 4 weeks saying, you know, what's wrong with Gibbs Racing? And here you answer it tonight.
Well, you know, we've had good cars, really. I mean, Daytona, I'm sorry, we go back to Loudon. We had a car more than capable of winning. We did in the spring, we did in the fall, and things just didn't work our way. You know, we went to Dover, we had an okay car. We struggled all day and you know, qualified bad and took us all day to get to, you know, basically top 10. And last week at Kansas, we felt like we had a top 5 car most of the day, got in a pit road incident and put us behind, and then, you know, the day was out. So, you know, obviously things haven't gone our way. Today they did, and that's what you need in this sport. I mean, you need to be good, and then you need to have things go your way.
You know, Greg, as a driver, I hated a race like today. Simply from the standpoint you want to dominate. And as a crew chief, you had to. But I think what I've seen today was one of the greatest races because I saw Toyota, Chevy, Ford, Dodge, every manufacturer battling for the win. What attributes that? What brings that about? It was a hell of a race.
Well, I think it's, you know, 4 restrictor plate races now. Everybody's been working on their stuff since what we had basically here in the fall, right? I mean, and we got to go to Daytona, we got to come here in the spring. So, you know, everybody's got a chance to work on the same exact package for a year now. So, you know, everybody's got their stuff good. There's some people who are a little behind. I think, like you said, there's a lot of good race teams out there today that could drive up and take the lead and run in the top 5. You know what I'm excited about? It's the same thing we're going to Daytona with. You know, we're in the past. There's been a lot of changes, and you're always trying to make it better. Best of my knowledge, this is what we're going to Daytona with. So, you know, we've got 2 races under our belt at Daytona, and now you know, obviously we've got Talladega. And the more you work on something, we're back to working on the little things. You know, when you came here last fall, you were winging stuff, trying to find something and the things to help. And now we're back to details.
What about the big picture, Zippy? Can you guys get a championship won with what went on today and where you guys moved up in points?
I don't know where we are in points, but I know it's a whole lot better than we were last week.
It's a lot better.
I think what it did was it put hope back in us that if we can continue to go have a couple good weeks, we can get ourselves in the top 5, and if we can go, you know, to closer to Homestead with a chance mathematically, that's all we could ask for at this time with all the things that we've had go on. But we definitely need to keep going in that direction. I mean, we need to get back in the top 5. This is where this team belongs. I mean, I know Tony Stewart is better than a 7th, 10th place driver, and I believe this team is. We just got to all get pulling on the rope in the same direction here for these last few races.
Zippy, way to go, man. Congratulations. Great job keeping this team together. You know, a lot of people were looking at this team when they said they were going to part ways. That's Tony armed. I'm glad he didn't come over here armed. He came over here without hey, they're wasting a lot of good champagne. Congratulations to Greg Zipadelli and the number 20 team. We want to remind you, October 16th here on Speed, for the first time, Barrett-Jackson, the world's greatest collector car event, is live from Las Vegas for the most exotic sports cars to one-of-a-kind prototypes, from celebrity rides to timeless classics. All will cross the box on October 16th.
This weekend on Speed, get dirty.
This is a Jim Dandy. They're going after it for the lead.
And trade some paint.
Problems on the racetrack.
With the Knoxville Nationals late model races.
It's going to be a hot rod drag race down the back chute.
Then NASCAR's future stars shine.
They're side by side as they come out of turn number 4.
With ARCA Remax Series action. It all begins Saturday with the Knoxville Nationals late model races at 8 Eastern. And Sunday, don't miss ARCA Remax Series racing from Toledo at 2 Eastern. Only on
This is America, and you have the freedom to cheer.
Number 9.
Idolize.
Dale Jr.
Mr. Jeff Gordon.
Celebrate.
Papa Montoya.
Maybe even get carried away.
Martin Truex Jr. He's the man.
Only Bank of America gives you the freedom to bank with the same kind of passion. With NASCAR banking, your check card, your credit card, your driver. Want to get in on the action? You can with Bank of America. Bank of Opportunity.
Welcome back to the Talladega Super Speedway, everyone, where things got wild starting on Friday, well before the race started this afternoon. Tony Stewart comes home victorious, but let's remember, Tony was involved in one of those practice accidents, and he was one of the guys who decided, hey, let's fix this race car, get it back in. And you know what? It was a while before we were talking about Tony Stewart. There are too many other great cars to talk about throughout the course of this AMP Energy 500.
Yeah, I was anticipating the start of this race, Kenny, like the fans up here. What a great crowd. And, you know, right off the bat, Kenny, we start seeing this too-wide racing.
Well, everybody was saying, okay, we want to log laps. That means we just want to get half this race over with. 2-wide racing is real easy, as you know, around here. 3 wide's okay. And look here, what
Check
happened?
this out.
Kenny,
Jimmy
this
Johnson
car
decided to stay back, lost the draft.
Stayed back and
And
lost
let me
the
tell
draft.
you what. Let me tell you one thing I learned about this car. This is the first time I've run this car here. You can lose the draft in a heartbeat here. It scared me to death a couple times, and got lucky, got a couple cautions.
Take a look at one of the chase contenders, Carl Edwards, going for the lead, and he takes it in a big way with a little push from Brian Vickers.
Great.
Yeah, and Brian Vickers had a good run here today, helping his cohorts. But here's what I want to talk about. Look at this. Fans, it don't get any better than that. It just plain don't get
That's a
any
200-mile-an-hour freight train.
That's all I can say. Look at that.
But look, the racetrack can hold it.
Awesome.
Just as long as you hold your line.
And there is only one time throughout this race that you can hear the fans over top of the roar of these race cars, and that's when Dale Earnhardt Jr. goes to the lead.
He is lapping the 48 there, Kenny. He takes the lead here, and the fans just look at this. Look at the fans, Kenny.
Yeah.
It's Earnhardt.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a rough day. Here's a blown tire. I was right behind it.
Great job missing it,
The 44 blows a right rear tire. Just simply watch. Okay, here we are. Watch. Boom. What is that all about?
And
Kenny?
what a bad break for a 6-time Talladega winner, Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon sitting back there, figured he's in great shape. We talked about it on this morning's show. There is no safe place to hide at Talladega.
All right, let's look at the draft, man. Let's jump up in here. Kenny, you were in this draft.
Well, these cars are different than the old car. The bumpers line up real well. You can bang on each other, and that's what happens if the car doesn't move around. So sometimes you get spit out, but isn't this something?
Oh, Kenny, it's awesome racing. But now watch this coming up here, Kenny. Here's another tire. Watch this. Man.
Oh, my Lord. I mean, and what
Martin Truex by himself, the 9 car. This takes out 9 cars.
Now,
Kenny.
I've seen this happen all day long, and the political thing is they go, well, blow the tire. But obviously there's something wrong with tires.
No, I can explain that to you
What
later.
happened?
I'll explain it to you later.
All right, so watch once again as we go take a look at Brian Vickers. The right front goes, and that was such a shame for the #1 team. They had such a great run going. Martin Truex gets taken out again,
Watch
not
Terry
of his
Labonte
own doing.
get hit by the 9 car.
Bam.
Thinks he's got it cleared. Terry Labonte says, can you believe this? And there's Woods involved, and the 1 car. What a tough year on the 1 team this year.
That's
And,
Talladega.
just a tough year, no luck.
All right, so we got battling going on here as Jimmy Johnson made his lap up and got back up and does battle with teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. And those cars were locked together.
Kenny, what I noticed today was there was no clear-cut favorite. Hendrick wasn't that strong. I shouldn't say that. They were all strong. But what a great race. And nobody was like, they could just go to the front and lead this thing.
Look who's leading now. Tony Stewart is up front.
The Toyota. I mean, it didn't matter who it was.
And there were so many good cars today. Race fans, you know, we're sitting there running along today, and you're like, well, that guy's got a really fast car. What's he doing back here? Who is that?
That's some
Must be some
fans
Tony
loving
Stewart
this
fans.
show.
Sorry, race fans, this is live.
Now, okay, now this is weird, guys. Check it out. Here comes Carl Edwards, one of the best drivers out there. Oops.
What's that all
Oops.
about?
I
All he said was sorry. Just got into it too fast.
Yeah, I think somebody threw some stuff down there trying
banana
to cause him to
peel.
spin out.
A banana peel. That only happens on the cartoons, Kenny Wallace, but this isn't cartoons. As we go back out on the racetrack and look at this pack, and we were not yet
watch
done.
this.
Who's leading there?
Watch
That's
this.
Pedigree car.
I'm going to
That
tell
is
you
Kyle Busch out front.
what Kyle Busch, you know, I'm about 6 rows back here when this is happening, and I know they're going to wreck, and they didn't.
Michael Waltrip won, Pablo Montoya, and then we had Kyle Busch behind him. Casey Mears, all guys who had a great run going, but it just wouldn't turn out that well. More trouble for the chase drivers. Let's take a look at the 29 of Kevin Harvick.
Kevin says on the TV that no harm, no foul. It was just a racing deal. Nothing meant anything there. He got a little tap, just racing, got spun out. No problem. Here's the problem, Kenny.
Now, we had not one, but 2 big ones. The first one involved 9 cars. The second one involved 10 cars, and that included 6 chasers. Let's take another look and see what happened between some teammates up front.
And what has happened here is what we've talked about in this 10-race chase. We said, look, it's not going to be about the driver. It's going to be either a team, you know, or it's going to be something like this happening. It's either going to be 2 things. And we knew this was the wild card. Right here, took out the whole top front of the chase drivers except for Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson made the through.
Only a couple of chase drivers really came out of this thing unscathed, and even when you look at the finish of Jimmy Johnson, he still went down a lap early in the race. Here we see some great battling going on, and Elliott Sadler was up front all day long, and he knows how to get it done on these super speedways. He was a contender for this thing for quite some time.
Yeah, and I want to say congratulations to his crew chief. Him and his wife had twins.
Now,
all right, here's the last lap. Once again, we've seen it a bunch of times, but you can't look at this quite enough. This was one wild finish. Again, in slow motion, let's take a look at Regan Smith. You can't fault the guy for trying. He wanted to win a race.
well, I tell you what, I know it's still controversial. I'm still waiting on NASCAR's ruling explanations to the fans, because this was one for the ages, Jimmy Spencer.
It was, Kenny, you know, and, I mean, definitely controversial, but you know, NASCAR has to make a decision. They try to enforce that yellow line. Tony Stewart ends up winning this race. You heard from Zippy and Tony. What a good day for Gibbs Racing and Tony and Zippy to get their win.
And after finishing second 6 times at this racetrack and a 43-race winless streak, Tony Stewart is back in victory lane. And after making the announcement that he was leaving DEI, Paul Menard came in second.
Now, the only thing that makes me mad about this, you see that 10th place finisher, Elliott Sadler? I was side by side with him at this trial, Spence. Darn it.
And anybody who made their way up to the front, including Joe Nemechek, Kenny Wallace, Eric Almirola, all those guys did a fantastic job to fight through this bar fight on 4 wheels.
What a great day for Eric Almirola. Got a lot of experience. He had a really good car. 13th isn't deserving of where that car ran, but you know, it's just experience.
And Casey Mears running in the top 5 with the green-white checker coming. They said, Casey, you cannot make it. Come down and pit, and look at there, he finishes 14th.
And Regan Smith ends up 18th by NASCAR rule, has to go to the end of the lead lap. Kurt Busch, Dave Blaney, and Reed Sorensen, and then the Biff.
And Kurt Busch had a blown engine, and he finished the race 21st. That goes to show you the attrition at Talladega.
And Jeff Gordon, Denny Hamlin, all guys that had great runs. Denny Hamlin was taken to a local hospital just to get checked out, but initial reports say that Denny is okay, and we are certainly glad to hear that. Thank goodness for the safer barriers.
Well, the thing is I got to explain. Here we go with this change here with Martin Truex. None of these guys deserve this.
That's
blown
a shame
engine for Ryan Newman. But, you know, here it is, fans. This is what we want to talk about.
The shuffle in the points.
6 races to go, and look at this.
Wow. So where are you guys cutting them off?
I'm cutting off Jeff Gordon.
Me too. I'm saying
I think
200
Tony
points.
Stewart. I did not realize Tony Stewart was that far back, 199. That's a long road to hoe. It still looks to me like a 3-man race. Carl, Greg, and Jimmy.
What is there, 6 races to go?
6 to go.
Yeah,
yeah, Kyle Busch and Denny's out of it. No doubt.
All right, so Jimmy Johnson shows once again why he is a championship contender. Goes down by 1 lap early on in this race, fights his way back up, and comes out of here with a huge points lead. So right now, the number 48 team looks like they are poised to win that 3rd championship in a row. Now, we're looking forward to the rest of the chase. We're also looking forward to next year as well. Affordable ticket packages are still available to experience the thrill of NASCAR at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway during the 2009 season. Experience the unique combination of racing action and entertainment, and see Jimmy Spencer on the craps tables as well. Visit lvms.com or call the 800 number and join us at the speed stage.
Does your vehicle need a makeover? What about you? Need a new style? Just go to NASCAR.com/makeover and enter the Ultimate NASCAR Performance Makeover Sweepstakes today.
Welcome back to Victory Lane at the Talladega Super Speedway as Tony Stewart continues to do the hat dance, and the smile hasn't left his face yet. He has a lot of celebrating to do because he finally has a Sprint Cup win here at Talladega. But it wasn't without controversy. There are always 2 sides to every story, and the side of Regan Smith and DEI, they still think they won this race. Let's go to Bob Dillner and hear Regan's side of the story.
It was called a judgment call by NASCAR. Just want to know your thoughts on the outcome of this race, Regan.
My judgment in NASCAR is totally different. We just watched the tape, and we can argue about it for 5 years. They're not going to change their decision. That's how NASCAR works. I totally disagree with them 110%. I totally disagree with, they showed the tape to us. We all sat there and watched it together, and in the driver's meeting, they tell us each week, if you're forced below the yellow line, you can go there. I clearly moved to the outside, moved back to the inside. Tony made a move to the high side, made a move to the bottom side. My nose was in there. The only other option I had was to wreck him. The only other option I had to wreck him. They told me, well, you could have got out of the gas. So they probably would have liked that because it would have made it easier on them. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I'm proud of DEI. I'm proud of what all the guys have done at ECR, our shop in particular, all my guys. They've stuck behind me all year long. Principal Financial Group and Chevrolet. You know, that's how it goes.
What about getting moved back to the tail end of the lead lap?
2nd or 18th, it really don't matter at this point to me, so that's how it goes.
Tough break for Regan Smith on a judgment call here at Talladega.
the complete devastation that this man feels. Listen, race fans, you got to feel for him. I mean, I love Tony Stewart to death, too. He's always been good to me. And you're sitting on your couch right now, and you're like, well, Tony should have won that race. But think about it. This kid he thought he won it. And I can relate with it because about like 8 years ago, you know, it happened to me right here for 5th spot. I'm below Sterling, you know, and I think I finished 5th. The TV cameras are in my face. Hey, great finish. Oh, hold on. You didn't win the race. Spence, I don't care what anybody says. The devastation within this man's brain right now, going to bed tonight thinking, oh my God, this was probably one of the only opportunities I had to win. And they said, nope, you passed below the yellow line.
NASCAR's got a tough job, guys. That's all I can say.
They got a tough job, and they had to make a decision. So let's now turn to NASCAR's Jim Hunter and see what they have to say about what happened at the end of this race.
In our judgment, he improved his position, and that brought about since it was the last lap, that would normally, we would impose a pass-through penalty, which would put him at the tail end of the longest line. So we moved him back to 18th position. And there's, in the driver's meeting here, it was clearly stated that you cannot improve your position below the yellow line.
Even on the last lap?
Even on the last lap.
Wow.
Well, you know, there it is in the driver's meeting. Every driver's going to say, you know, what they said, hey, I won a race at Daytona in the Victory Lane in the Truck Series, and they backed me out because NASCAR's decision was I didn't win. NASCAR has a tough job. They don't want to make this call, fans. They described it as passing below the yellow line, bettering your position. You're not allowed to do that. End of story. They run the show. That's all I got to say.
Okay, let's have a little fun here. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. You've seen the tape. Say you're NASCAR. Say you're in charge, Jimmy. What's your call?
They have no other call but to put it back. Regan Smith should have. He didn't have the experience, but a Jeff Gordon or a Dale Earnhardt or somebody like that, and nothing against Regan, Kenny, I believe they should have put the bumper on Tony and moved him. You know, and in that situation, that's the only thing. That NASCAR puts you in that box. You got to take that into your hands as a driver and say, damn it, I just got to move him because I know if I get down here, and Regan was right. Tony came down. Tony started to block him. He should have laid the bumper, pushed him up out of the way.
It is easy to sit here on this show, NASCAR Victory Lane, and say, well, we should have, could have. Look, you know, Tony Stewart was here earlier. We were talking off camera, you know, about Bobby Labonte a year or two ago in the nationwide race, at that time called the Busch Series, and Tony said he should have went to the outside of me. So coulda, shoulda, woulda. The bottom line is this.
And Bobby Labonte did and won.
Bobby Labonte went to the outside of Tony and won it. He's saying that, look, Regan should have went to the outside of me because it's that damn yellow line. It's just, oh my gosh, just look what happened.
It's a very, very difficult situation. Yeah, difficult situation for NASCAR to make that call, and even tougher for Regan Smith to have a win taken away from him. But nonetheless, we got to credit him. He was in position to possibly win this race. So great job by DEI and that 0-1 team all around today to have a great run here at Talladega. Got to take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll continue to break down what happened here at Talladega as we watch a beautiful sunset after an absolutely beautiful afternoon for racing.
To help us understand the importance of teamwork, please welcome Jeff Burton.
Hi, Jeff. Hey, guys. Out there, you're only as good as your pit crew, and you gotta have support, like Holiday Inn.
Will Holiday Inn change my tires?
No, but they do have free high-speed internet and meeting spaces.
Do they make a pajama version of your driving suit?
Has your helmet ever gotten stuck on your head? How come you don't have a mullet?
Hey, Jeff, my bed looks just like your car.
The more you stay, the more you earn. Holiday Inn.
Joey, you're pretty good, but if you're going to drive the Home Depot car, you still have a lot to learn. I think you're ready now. Sweet.
NASCAR Victory Lane is brought to you in part by Ranger. See it up close at your local Polaris Ranger dealer.
Welcome back, everyone. Victory Lane here at the Talladega Superspeedway is starting to clear out somewhat as the sun sets after a beautiful day here at NASCAR's biggest track. And you know what? Things were just kind of weird out there today. It was a strange finish and a strange beginning to the week, really, when you go back to the practice accident that took out 3 championship contenders, and they had to battle their way back in to race. But we also saw tire issues on the racetrack again, just to make things a little bit weirder. Let's take a look at what happened with some of those tire problems throughout the course of this 500-mile race. Take a look at David Ruderman. There goes one.
There I am 2 cars behind. Okay, there I am right behind Jeff Gordon's getting ready to come up into me. But that tire literally just blew up. That could have been a major catastrophe. He got spit to the inside. Spence because it was a left rear flat. If it had been or his right rear, excuse me. But
Gordon gets caught. He tries to avoid it and gets caught into the 21.
Right front on the 83.
And that there is just a plain blowout. And I'm saying to myself, we have a tire issue here today. And, you know, Brian Vickers running great, collects a lot of innocent drivers here. Just a deal. I said, man, this tire issue is not looking good.
Mike Wallace in the 33. Watch what happens here.
Look at Mike's running, what, third?
Second.
And the right rear tire blows out again. I said, what is going on? I mean, on the straightaway, these tires are blowing out, Kenny.
And generally with guys who are up front, Denny Hamlin in the lead loses a tire and hits the outside retaining wall hard.
And they take him to the hospital. He got out under his own power. He's complaining about a foot problem. His foot was hurting, and preliminary reports to get MRIs and things like that. But
so first of all, we're very happy that Denny's okay. That's the bottom line there. But Jimmy, you did some talking to some guys out there, and you found out what some of the issues were with the tires.
Sitting in the NASCAR hauler with Wayne Otten and those guys, and naturally we get a call from the tower. They tell them, go find out what the story is. Kenny, too much air pressure. They put too much air pressure in these tires. 50 to 52 was recommended. If they had the 52 pounds, no problems. They were going 56, 58 pounds. In turn, those cars that did that, they blew the tires out.
So what happens, you start 56 to 58 pounds, it builds 10 pounds, you're up to 70 pounds, and then you don't, you factor in a lot of heat. Now, we can get away with that high air pressure for qualifying a couple laps, but, it's just like a basketball. It's like...
And just to clarify, guys, tire pressure is suggested, not mandatory.
No, you could put more air in the tires.
But it's not recommended.
But you can't go under what they were saying. So that was the recommended air pressure. And guys found out that if they put a little more air in them, as you saw, the guys up front, Mike Wallace and the Levin car, those guys are up front running good. That was probably what made him help that extra tenth of a second.
And may I just say real quick, never anywhere would more air pressure be good for a race. That is extremely odd. Anywhere else, you want lower air pressure because it gets better grip. But unbelievable story to have too much air pressure. But them guys do all that testing, so they probably figured out a little more air pressure, make the car go faster.
Now, if you want to hear more from another driver that was in this race, be sure to tune into Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain, as Jeff Gordon, 4-time champion, 6-time Talladega winner, will be with Dave Despain. Coming up next, live on the Wind Tunnel.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge. Recreate, hibernate.
When you come to Talladega, they say you have to avoid the big one. But in this race today, it was the big ones involving 19 different race cars, and 6 championship contenders suffered serious blows out on the racetrack today. Let's hear from some of the chase contenders that were involved in the big ones.
Well, Carl gave us a huge push down the backstretch. Got to thank him for that. And unfortunately, we got down there in the corner and got slowed up a little bit, because we were starting to make it to the front, even with the 20 about. And, Carl caught back up to me and tried to just give me a little push around the corner. And, we had been working all day, but my car just snapped around. I don't know what it was, whether I was moving down when he touched me or he was moving up or what caused it. But just, he gave me a little push in the middle of the corner, and it didn't work out for us.
Just doing the best I could to push Greg as far as I could. I'd been pushing him a lot during the day, and it just did not work out that time. So definitely my fault. Nobody else was pushing him, and just feel bad for all my guys and his guys and Matt and everybody that got caught up in it, Dale Jr., all them. But you know, I did the best I could, and I felt like him and I together could do what we've been doing earlier and make it past the 20 and be out there leading this thing, and that's what decision I made.
I just wasn't real happy to be caught up in a wreck that should have been avoidable. You know, everybody's got their strategy right around the back, but, you know, they ride around the back all day and they get up there and they don't know how aggressive they can be, how aggressive they can't be. They haven't been used to racing in the pack all day, and this is what we get from it.
Well, there you heard from some of the Chase contenders that were caught up in that stuff. And Kenny and Jimmy, you guys have been there before. You know how it feels. And the idea is, hey, man, I just got caught up in something that wasn't my doing. If I make a mistake, I'll live with it. But all of a sudden, I'm driving along. Somebody comes up, takes me out.
Wow. You know, all I can say is that Michael Waltrip once said, we are the ones that have the gas pedal and the brakes, and we wreck these race cars. And it's so true. You know, there are times people want to go, well, man, that guy, he's not no good. He shouldn't have wrecked. But race fans, stop and think about it. You have the world-class greatest race car drivers of all time. And I said this morning on NASCAR race day, I said, there's no place to hide here. You can wreck running in the top 5. Look, that was a wreck for second place. I mean, they were outside trying to go into the lead. Spence, I don't know if you can hide anywhere.
The thing that hurts this whole deal today is I hope that the championship doesn't come down to Talladega. I hope that Carl Edwards and the Biff don't lose this championship and look back at this, because it could really be detrimental to Roush Racing. But you know what, Johnny? The Bank America 500, Charlotte, 6 to go. They can make it back. They can make it back.
Yeah, now we still have 6 races to go, and when you see what kind of a swing we took here today, we got to crunch the numbers to get exactly where we are. But, you know, we think Tony's still involved in this thing. Jeff Gordon perhaps still involved in this thing. Dave Despain will ask him that question in moments here on Speed. But as of right now, Tony Stewart has the momentum. He won here at Talladega after a very, very wild afternoon. And you know what? We shouldn't expect anything else here from the second race of the year at Talladega and the true wild card in the chase. Thanks for coming along for the ride, everybody. And let's now take a look in our collective rearview mirrors.
Can you get me close enough to be inside of the action? Can you show me all the power of the ride and the passion? Wanna feel the thunder and the thrill of the ride, 'cause I feel alive with speed on my side. Yeah, I wanna be there. Put me right in the middle of a victory lane. If they don't give me room, then I'll give them the wall. I'm gonna smoke my tires when the victory calls. I'm gonna be there, be there. I wanna see my face up on the jumbo screen. Feel the wild hot metal of a winning machine.